Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Michael and Benjamin's podcast. I'm the Michael of and I'm joined today by the man. Look, I'm letting the quality slip. I'm joined today by the man who I have just learned did not attend school on the day when people learned what centimeters and meters were. It's Benjamin.
Look, a meter is a meter. I've got a meter in my pants. That's how I measure. It's easy. You just take out your nature's tape measure. You get to work.
Oh, that's horrific. That's one of the worst things I've ever heard. I don't know. I think between my stumbling and that.
Oh, this is the worst intro we've ever had.
Benjamin, speaking of intros, do you want to do the theme music there?
Theme music for the podcast. We don't actually have any theme music, but I hope someone will make some up for us. I don't wanna name any names. Rachel, I hope it's Rachel.
Yes, very bad.
That was a 1 meter long song.
Oh, very bad. Very, very bad. Benjamin, let's get into it, as they say in the world of podcasting.
Who says that?
The world of podcasting, they say it. That's the thing they say. Benjamin, let's get into it. Let's get right up in it. And why don't you tell me what you thought about the Joker trailer?
Oh, very optimistic. Very optimistic. Look,
get out of here.
It's going to be an L standalone. It's got nothing to do with Batman. It's in Gotham, which surprised me. I didn't think we were going to pull the trigger on Gotham.
Benjamin, I thought that kid who he was putting the smile on was Bruce Wayne.
It very possibly is. It could be a traumatic experience for old Brucey baby back there. I don't know if Joker's going to be the one to murder the Wayne parents.
I hope not.
It would be a little convoluted, but we've clearly gone a completely different direction. Michael, it's clearly it's not your dad's Joker.
No,
it's not your dad's Joker. It's not our Joker.
My dad's Joker was Jack Nicholson.
Was it Jack Nicholson?
Yeah,
Jack Nicholson was my first Joker. I didn't do the Cesar Romero Joker. My grandfather wouldn't let me see the Cesar Romero episodes because he didn't like him.
Ben, do you want a famous bit of trivia about Cesar Romero?
Go on.
He wasn't actually the Joker. He just played him on TV.
Oh.
Yeah.
Really?
You thought I was going to say about the mustache.
Yes, I did. In a funny way, the kind of the mustache DC debacle came full circle with Henry Cavill. We had another mustache that was covered up.
The pictures.
Yeah.
The on-set pictures were finally released, and the whole lower half of his face, his hair is different, his face is different, his demeanour is different.
Everything's different.
So they basically just had to CGI recreate Henry Cavill's head.
That was expensive.
And not very effective.
No, it's terrible.
They should have just shot all the scenes with Superman from the neck down.
It would have been easier. Have one of those classic kind of 90s movies things where it's clearly not the character, but the character is talking to his evil double or something like that.
Yeah, it'd be very good.
It's another man's neck. But very clearly produced by Martin Scorsese.
Yes.
It has such a strong 70s Goodfellas vibe.
People are comparing it very heavily to the film The King of Comedy.
Yes. Well, Robert De Niro's there. There's a little cameo there in the trailer where he obviously introduces the Joker in some form on a game show.
A chat show host or something like that.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was the whole thing on the King of Comedy. The suit that the Joker wears is very reminiscent of the suit that the King of Comedy wears.
In the film The King of Comedy.
The King of Comedy, played by Robert De Niro. There are a lot of Scorsese throwbacks there. I like the suit. I think that last walk up the hall with a bunch of flowers in his hand, very good, very menacing.
I think, Ben, that Martin Scorsese has just gone, the film that I made, The King of Comedy, would have been a good Joker film. What if I just remake it as a Joker film?
But not put my name on it and get Todd Phillips to do it instead?
Yeah. Well, isn't he producing it?
He's producing it, but I mean, I think Todd's the director. Maybe Martin just doesn't want his name associated with a superhero film.
Weren't there other films that we've seen where we said, oh, that was a pretty good film, but it could have been a superhero film? Red Sparrow.
Red Sparrow was basically
Black Widow.
Yeah, was basically Black Widow.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And the film Life was basically a Venom origin story.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
So, do you think that's what's happened, Ben?
Well, no, because it's very blatantly just like, no, this is the Joker. This is what we're doing. So it's not anything pretending to be something else.
No, but what I'm saying is, he said, oh, The King of Comedy would have been a great Joker film.
Oh, yeah. And
why don't I just remake it?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a bit early days to say that.
It's very Killing Joke Alan Moore as well. It has the whole aesthetic from the Alan Moore Killing Joke thing. I'm not a fan of the Killing Joke, as you know, Michael. I don't like gratuitous rape in my storylines.
Yeah.
Not a thing I'm into, so I don't know. I don't think we'll have any of that, hopefully. Zazie Beetz is in it, though.
Zazie Beats.
No, it's definitely Zazie Beats.
No, it's Zazie.
No, it's not.
She says Zazie.
Does she?
Yeah. I'm inclined to go with people's pronunciation of their own
To be
names.
fair, okay, we'll give it to Zazie Beats. So, who I found out is half German. There you go. Speaks fluent German.
Yeah, I think she's like German, like Michael Fassbender.
Yeah, it's a fashty thing.
It's our new segment, Surprise Germans.
Surprise Germans! No one ever expects the Germans. Look, they do the classic, the new trailer trope, which is take a classic song that people enjoy and make it creepy. And this time we have "Smile Though Your Heart's Breaking," the Nat King Cole song.
That's already creepy.
It is kind of creepy. Yeah, just put on a fake face. I do think Joaquin Phoenix is going to knock it out the park.
I don't know if I care.
It doesn't matter. It's just a Joker film.
There's a certain point where you're going, okay, DC, fair enough. You've taken a new tack.
Yeah.
You've gone, look, this whole shared universe isn't working. Let's just make films.
But that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
Consistently.
And it seems to be better.
Speaking of... No, we can't.
No,
we can't jump onto that
go there yet.
Yeah, we can't jump onto that yet.
No,
but anyway, I am hopefully optimistic.
You're hopefully optimistic, so you're not sure if you're optimistic or not.
I'm hoping the film will be good, and I'm optimistic that it will be.
Oh,
is that
much
better?
Yeah, that's much better.
Better?
I 100% don't care.
Yeah, okay.
I think it's weird that there are so many Jokers in the last...
I don't think there's any need to have this.
Well, Ben,
I would agree with you on that, but I'll watch it.
I've been listening to internet hand-wringing and people saying, we don't need this, we get out of here, this is not my Joker, I've gone a bit Trumpish. And
but that is, he probably looked at that and he's like, no, it's not Jack Nicholson. No.
Ben, we don't need any films. So anyone who says we don't need this, just shut up.
Also, anyone who thinks they have any right to say what happens to a character doesn't happen to a character, doesn't understand how fiction works.
Or copyright law.
Or copyright law. Interestingly, there was another Joker reveal this week, Michael.
Oh,
far more in the classic style for Gotham. The final 2 episodes of Gotham, we're going to get a fully deformed Joker. We don't follow Gotham here.
I
at
stopped
this
watching
show,
Gotham then after the second season,
which is perfectly fine because it turned into another CW sexy mess.
I was just like, is Barbara Gordon going to be Harley Quinn or not? Make up your mind.
Yeah, it was another CW sexy mess.
Sexy mess. Yeah.
And that's fine, but the one thing that fans seem to have come together on Gotham is bloody Joker. He did a great job. The guy who plays the 2 different Jokers on the show.
Well, Ben, he was in the first 2 seasons, and he was introduced as a kind of red herring.
Yes, and then he was kept.
Yeah, people enjoyed it so much they had to come up with a stupidly convoluted way for him to be the Joker.
Well, not necessarily. The Joker did die in his initial appearance with Batman. He stabbed himself in the chest. Don't ask me how. And he came back. So the convolution worked in their favor. But severely deformed Joker was revealed this weekend. You can take a look at him there on the internet.
I've seen him. Oh, you're not talking to me. You're talking to the listeners. Yeah,
okay, I'm talking to the listeners. You can check him out there online. He's very deformed. Very, very Scott Schneider Joker when he carved his own face off. Just horrific and grotesque and whatnot. Anyway, sure, look, we were looking at other trailers as well, Michael. What else did we look at?
Speaking of horrific, grotesque things, did you see Iggy Pop with his shirt off?
Yes. So, this week...
Take that, aging icon of British 80s punk.
This week, the trailer for The Dead Don't Die was released, the new Jim Jarmusch film.
Ben.
And you revealed something shocking to me, Michael.
What's a Jim Jarmusch?
Jim Jarmusch is exactly who Wes Anderson wants to be.
That's what I was thinking. He's very Wes Anderson.
He's exactly who Wes Anderson... Jim Jarmusch was around way before Wes Anderson was doing his thing.
He even stole all of Wes Anderson's friends.
Yeah, but they were Jim's friends first.
Oh, were they?
Yeah, Jim Jarmusch is the original odd boy indie darling.
Tell me a film that he made.
The Only Lovers Left Alive would have been one that you were possibly about the 2 immortal vampires, Tilda Swinton,
Never
Tom
seen
Hiddleston. Oh, it's very good. It's very good.
Never
good
even
vampire
heard
lore.
of it. Never
Ian
even heard of it, Ben.
No? Never. Coffee and Cigarettes?
Nope.
The Little Vignette Shorts? No. Night on Earth?
No.
No.
I've never heard of any of these things.
Oh, Michael. Okay. Well,
what am I even doing on a podcast?
He's a real hit and miss kind of guy. You either love him or you hate him.
He's got the same kind of clipped deadpan
style. Yeah. No. Wes Anderson saw Jim Jarmusch and said, "I want to do that, but with pastel colors."
Is that Wes Anderson's voice?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
And that's exactly what he did. He went. Jim Jarmusch would be the kind of grungy opposite of that, and then they're like two sides of the same coin, Michael.
Right.
If you were two-facing, Wes Anderson would be the good half, the Harvey Dent half, and then Jim Jarmusch would be the wacky, two-facey, homicidal part. He doesn't kill people. Your computer just died.
Did it?
Yes. Or it went off.
No,
it didn't. It just went off.
Screensaver, baby.
Oh, goodness. Such shock. Such shock and horror. But yeah, he's a real famous indie darling.
Ghost Dog.
Yeah, Way of the Samurai with what's his wonderful name? Forrest Whitaker.
Weird Eye guy.
Yeah, Forrest Whitaker. That's really famous. It's about a black samurai.
Yeah, that's the only one I've seen.
Yeah, that's him. That's Jimmy J. Jimmy J. Moosh.
I have not seen any of these other ones.
Well, they're very good, Michael. I recommend Only Lovers Left Alive. It's a real fun romp.
That's literally the only one I've seen, and I didn't realise that was...
Yeah.
That's probably his most Hollywood one then, is it?
It would have been mad popular in the 90s. It was real up there with the kind of like urban grit.
But it's not that stylized from what I remember.
No, but people want to see a black samurai. Apparently there's a market for that.
It was pretty good. It was 1999, same year as Matrix.
Matrix, yeah, would have been in there. Like, it's basically Morpheus and Neo had a baby, and it's Forrest Whitaker.
I don't think the Matrix came out in 1999, man. I think it came out in 1997.
Did it?
I think I've tricked you into a Ben's retractions there.
Well, look.
No, it was 1997.
Oh, there we go. Mixed retractions.
Where are we going? Yeah, the trailer looks good though, Ben.
But yeah, it's very funny. Very, very classic Wes Craven, John Carpenter voiceover at the beginning.
Yeah.
In a small town. I love that. I miss that in trailers. I want more of that in my life.
It has Bill Murray in it.
It's got Billy M.
Yeah.
Bill Emery.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. It's classic horror. It's classic old Day of the Dead.
But it's a comedy though.
It's now commedia. Yeah, it definitely is. It's got Adam Driver, who's still getting work.
I think he's good of a deadpan delivery.
Yeah, he'll be good in this,
yeah.
I'd say. But yeah, again, we're just going to focus on the comedy element of all this. Selena Gomez is in it. So obviously Jim Jarmusch has made friends with Selena Gomez somewhere along the line.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah,
or hired her.
Or hired. No, he usually... This is the thing. Jim Jarmusch has, like... He casts people that he hangs out with. It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. But he's got a whole lore built up around Jim Jarmusch. It's like David Cronenberg's phone younger brother.
Okay. I'll watch some of them.
Check them out. They're real weird, but they're good.
If you insist. Benjamin, speaking of comic books, which we weren't but now are.
Yeah, sure.
You know what's the best comic book at the moment? Now I have to put the theme music in again.
Is it GoBots?
No, it's not GoBots. Ben, if you remember, GoBots was absolutely awful.
Absolutely awful.
It was like a willy infection. One of the worst things that could happen.
Oh, I've got a serious case of GoBots. Oh, who gave you that? Ooh.
Not saying. Ben,
go on.
Ben, you know what's the best comic is at the moment? It's probably Conan.
Conan! Yeah. That's not anything to do with Conan. I just felt like saying it that way.
I think that was Bravestar. Yes, it's very good though, Ben. I would strongly recommend that people read it.
Yeah, it's very good. The art. Oh, the art, Michael.
The art is by an artist that you said was very good, whose name I can't remember.
Ooh.
He has an Arabic name.
Oh, for
Conan, I can't remember.
For Conan.
Do you
have a copy of it there? We look it up. Oh, this is fantastic. But anyway,
great podcast.
The new Conan is very good. It follows his whole life, and it's kind of a classic leading up to the death of Conan arc. Yeah. The end of Conan, but we go through his history.
Mahmud Asrar.
Oh yes, I did tell you about him before.
You did.
And the films or the covers are done by Esad Ribic. I don't know how to say his name. Ribic. French guy. Great covers.
Oh, Ben, everything about it's great.
Yeah, they're very, very classically Frank Frazetta.
The first, yes. Or Les Edwards.
Yes. Very Les Edwards.
Is Les Edwards the right person?
No, it's not. But try in his hand. But yeah, it follows the Sumerian as he goes around all of his adventures in his youth, and it's just Conan being a big old badass.
Leslie Bibb.
Leslie Bibb.
It's
Leslie and the Jets.
I'm really enjoying it. The first two issues, I think, if I remember correctly, or it might have been just been one, but they're the framing device of the story.
Yes, they are.
Where he is captured by a witch and her children.
The children aren't originally there. He's captured by the witch in the first.
I thought he beats the witch and then the children catch him.
That's later. That's later in the story, though, is it not?
British illustrator Les Edwards.
Oh, look at you!
In your face, Ben.
Oh, it is very Les Edwards.
I know.
I know. That's what I said.
Remember when I said it?
Very good. Oh, very. V Conan.
Yes.
V Conan.
In your face, Benjamin.
No, my understanding of it was...
Well, Ben, this isn't a thing where I've potentially misread it. I've just forgotten.
Oh,
but
okay.
Anyway, it doesn't matter. What I'm saying is it's a framing device, and they're drawing from his blood because his blood has become powerful every time he escaped death.
Yeah, which is quite a bit.
But that's the whole point, because then every issue is a story of Conan escaping death.
Yeah, and then you get to see a really cool issue. Yeah. There's a whole thing with a lion.
The lion is brilliant.
Great.
I want a lion.
He's kind of like a Fantasyland Batman for a bit.
Yeah, there's one of a pirate ship.
There's a pirate ship.
There's one of big kind of wormy things.
He's big on saving slaves. It's cosmic horror stuff. You can't feed the cursed bodies to the ocean, or it transforms all the stuff that eats them.
There's one where he's about to be executed, but it all goes wonky.
It's bloody great.
It's brilliant.
It's bloody great.
It is the best comic on the
Tree.
shelves. Yeah. The other thing, though, is he's in a normal superhero comic at the moment.
He's in the Avengers. What's
and he's
that
just,
about?
in that, there's no point to him because he's in it with Hercules. And what can Conan do that Hercules can't?
Be badass.
Yeah, but Hercules
He also prays to a god that doesn't care.
Yeah.
Which I really enjoy. I'm really enjoying the various things of, I would pray to Crom, but Sumerians don't care.
Yeah,
Crom doesn't either.
Yeah, I would pray to Crom, but he's a real prick.
He's a real prick bag. Crom's a real dick.
No good.
Yeah, but I'm enjoying that immensely. Speaking of gods,
yes.
Michael.
Yes.
What did we see yesterday?
The trailer for the new season of American Gods.
No, that's been going for a while.
Yeah,
now,
I didn't watch it until yesterday.
Yeah, I haven't been watching anything to do with that.
You know what I saw yesterday that was quite good?
Go on,
Cloak and Dagger is back. It's pretty good. It has no reason to be good because the plots are terrible, but just the leads are so good at their job. Such good actors.
Them.
Such good actors.
Good to see a good lead.
Yeah, and it's unusual in a Marvel thing. It's very character driven. I don't even remember the plot of last year's one. I just like the two leads.
You've always been taken in by strong personalities, so
yeah,
it's a whole thing.
It's true. Ben,
yeah,
we saw Shazam.
We did.
Changed.
Thunder sound effect inserted there.
Yeah,
bloody decent LDC film.
It was, Ben.
Decent LDC
we thoroughly enjoyed it.
10-4, goodbye.
Yeah.
It was great. I really enjoyed it. I had a gay old time.
Ben, let's do our, because there were four men.
Well, I mean, one could look at it that way, or we could just use the old-fashioned, innocent way where it wasn't
are we doing that
derogatory or
now?
insulting.
Are we bringing it back?
Let's bring it back.
Okay.
Let's bring it
Benjamin,
back.
No spoilers. Give us a brief description of what even is the film Shazam.
Billy Batson is
glad that's back.
Is an abandoned child who's been bouncing around the foster system in the United States of A. And basically, he's on the hunt for his mother, who left him behind. And he finds his way into a brand new foster family with a bunch of foster kids, run by two former foster kids who are in love and have a house to help those who don't have mums and dads to have a mum and dad.
And the lady foster looks like a busty Latina Erica Durance from Smallville.
Would do. 10 out of 10.
Good. I'm glad that this is now a rating system we have.
10 out of 10 would do. But aside from that, obviously he's a real no good punk who grew up tough in the system. He's a student in the School of Hard Knocks.
Although he does have lovely hair.
He has lovely hair. He's very clean for a student of Hard Knocks.
Yeah,
very clean, very put together.
He looks like Arya Stark.
He does. He does look like Arya Stark.
I couldn't unsee it.
Yeah. That's ruined him for me as well. Interestingly, he's grown much bigger since the film was filmed. If you see him in interviews,
that will happen with child actors.
Yeah, he's quite big now. He's a very big, broad guy. Yeah. He looks even more like Zachary Levi than he did in the film. Yeah,
that's good.
It's very unusual to see. Anyway,
I don't think it is very unusual to see, Ben. Most children get bigger.
Most children get bigger.
In fact, if he didn't get bigger, I would say that would be unusual.
Anyway, going back to the synopsis before I blush red and scarlet, there are two storylines happening at the same time here. It's very much mirror reflections of each other. The other one we're looking at is Thaddeus Savannah in 1970. Was it 78 or 74? I don't know why I can't remember.
Doesn't matter.
Anyway, in the past. Anyway, his dad's a real dickbag.
Yeah, played by John Glover from Smallville.
From Smallville, so he's getting his DC licks in again. Yeah. And a real dickbag of a brother. It's dickbag 1 and dickbag 2, and then poor old Thaddeus in the back seat.
Yeah.
And to be honest, if I had a dad that laughed every time my brother psychologically tormented me and hit me and beat me, I would also turn out a bit of a bad egg, I'd imagine, Michael.
Well, that was only one of the things that turned him into a bad egg, Ben.
No, there were a few things. It was a systematic abuse over time, Michael.
And Shazam.
But anyway, childhood trauma. The wizard Shazam goes, Dadia Silvana. No, he doesn't. But he calls him to the Rock of Eternity, Rock of Eternity, to test him to see if he'd be a good champion of the lightning, champion of the lightning, to inherit the powers of Shazam. He's a real bad egg, and he gets tempted by the 7 sins, and then he gets cast out of the Rock of Eternity, and that only adds to his abandonment issues, abuse issues, not being good enough issues, inferiority complex, all that stuff, and he spends his whole life hunting down the 7 sins again.
Yeah.
Anyway, he gets his powers. Shazam runs out of time to find a replacement for him. The wizard Shazam runs out of time to replace him, and Billy gets to step up to the plate.
Yeah.
Adventures ensue. Tom Hanks is suing.
It is quite big, isn't it?
Very big.
It's quite big, without the kind of creepy older lady sniffing around.
Which I really enjoyed. They avoided that pitfall.
Yeah, that was good.
This time round, which was good.
Ben, what did you like about the film Shazam?
It took...
Tell me that very briefly.
What I enjoyed about it took a while to get going.
Not too briefly, Ben. We've got an hour to go.
It took a while to get going. For me, I could have
I said, what did you like? And the first thing you said was a complaint. Go on, yeah.
The visual comedy was probably my favourite element of it. There are lots of throwaway jokes and stuff like that when it comes to that.
Give us an example of one.
One of the best examples is when he learns to fly and then gets hit by a truck and bounced around twice on a freeway.
That's a classic gag, though, isn't it? That
classic gag.
Iron Man and Iron Man 3.
I'm still going to take it. I still enjoyed it immensely. There are lots of good visual gags as they go around. The timing the chemistry between the original two, Freddie Freeman and Billy Batson, are great. Mm-hmm. I think they're
Freddie Freeman
good match.
Remind me of a young Ryan Reynolds.
A young Ryan? That's not unlike... our good friend of the podcast, Shane, turned around to me and said, if there was ever a Fred Savage biopic, we found the young Fred Savage.
Yeah, that'd do it.
Which was pretty good.
A lot of Hollywood kids look like Fred Savage, though. It's the Hollywood kid look.
It's the Hollywood kid look.
Benjamin. One complaint I had to have about it was nearly every Shazam in it was in the trailer.
Yeah,
not all
true.
Of them.
All the Shazam.
Nearly all of them. And most of the important ones.
Yeah, the big ones.
Including the iconic one where he jumps off the building.
That shouldn't have been in the trailer.
That shouldn't have been in the trailer. But that's modern trailers for you, Ben. No respect.
They are the spark notes of films at this point.
Don't know what spark notes are.
Just give you the whole thing. It's an American cheating system that summarizes books and gives you everything you need to know to pass an exam.
I don't know if that's cheating. That seems fair enough.
Anyway, one of the things I really enjoyed was the strong visual language that they built up over the whole film. There's a lot of foreshadowing done.
Go on.
I'm thinking particularly of the opening scenes.
No spoilers now.
No, there's no spoilers here. With Tad Silvana, where when he looks at the orb that kind of contains the essences of the 7 sins, it mirrors over his left eye. Oh, so it foreshadows what's going to go on there.
Clever.
There's a lot of that kind of thing. There's a lot of strong foreshadowing. I can't really do any more without spoiling some stuff. So we're going to stay away from that.
Hang off there for a minute.
Mark Strong put in a bit of a middling performance.
They got him to do an American accent.
Yeah, not his best work.
Look, he was still a developed villain with an arc.
He had an arc.
Yeah.
We'll give him an arc. Probably one of the better villains we've seen in DCdom.
Probably the best villain we've seen in DC.
Yeah, quite possibly. Isn't that sad?
Yeah, he had an arc. He had motivation. He had a goal. He wasn't just a cackling lunatic.
Yeah, no, there was real trauma there driving a
bit of tragedy behind
moves.
him. Yeah, it was all right. I mean, he was a bit generic.
So were the 7 Deadly Sins, though, but they were big grey blob men, but they had a little bit of variation here and there.
They were nearly there, weren't they?
Just change the colour on a couple of them. That's all you had to do.
Yeah, they were
red for wrath.
They were a bit of an amorphous blob.
Yeah, green for envy.
Yeah,
yellow for sloth. Just such a small tweak.
Some good designs, some poor designs.
Yeah,
the gluttony was excellent.
Some were very lazy though.
Gluttony, I think. Greed was pretty lazy.
Greed was boring.
Loads of arms.
Weird winged demon man.
Don't even know.
I never figured out which one he was. Yeah. I didn't know if he was pride soaring too high, and
who knows, Ben.
Figured out. Envy was a bit meh.
Yeah.
Wrath was good. Wrath was enjoyable.
Was he the big heavy one?
Yeah, he was the big heavy lifter. Yeah.
And Gluttony was good with his big open belly.
Yeah, that was very good. Big open belly.
Although obviously a bit quite scary because it didn't get really any
that's
direct on screen time.
That's
it was just
the
kind
one
of in the
scene
back.
that kind of threw me off is the boardroom scene.
Okay.
No spoiler. No spoilers.
Look, Ben.
But it didn't fit a 12A rating.
That scene had more guts than the entire, and I mean guts as in bravado and willingness to show. It had more chutzpah than the entirety of the film Venom.
It's chutzpah.
Is it? Well, I pronounce it chutzpah.
Okay.
And I don't care.
Okay, fair enough.
It had more.
That's the end of the Jewish.
It had more. I don't think so. You said something worse before. No, we didn't. We didn't lose them. It had more chutzpah than the entire movie Venom.
How much more chutzpah did it have?
A lot more. I mean,
it was willing to go the extra mile. And I think the CGI might have been better than Venom.
It certainly was better.
Bloody hell, that Mobius film is going ahead. Jared Leto did an old leak of
nobody wants that.
Nobody wants that. Nobody wants Jared Leto in general.
Nobody wants it.
But as we've said before, not my Mobius. Morbius?
Quite good. Let's move now from that discussion into a discussion with mild spoilers. But we won't reveal the film, but we'll discuss a couple of things that were you can't talk about without spoiling it.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
Because there are a few. It's not the spoiler warning. We should have joined to insert a klaxon, like a really obnoxious klaxon that will frighten people who are listening to this half asleep on the train on Monday morning.
Scared shitless when a klaxon goes off out of nowhere.
Anyway, I liked, Ben, the bit where the whole film was a dig at previous DC films.
Oh man, there's so many little middle fingers being flipped.
Yeah.
As we go along, even the big reveal there towards the end, where we get the Marvel family.
Oh, you've just spoiled like the main thing.
We not? We said we were doing spoilers.
Yeah, but I mean, we were doing little spoilers.
Ah, right. Okay, take that back. Go back.
No, you've done it now.
Pretend you didn't hear that. Pretend you didn't hear that.
Look, Ben, anyone in the world who has any interest in toys or action figures or memorabilia already knew. It was spoiled long. Funko Pop seemed to be the number one source of spoilers now.
They're fucking dickbags. I hate Funko Pop.
They're no good. Ben, okay.
They're real shysters.
You've opened the can of worms anyway. Did you enjoy the Marvel family?
On reflection, no.
Really?
No.
I really enjoyed Megan Good's work.
Well, you would enjoy Megan Good's work. We all enjoyed Megan Good's work.
Very strong work.
Megan Good, great actress. Just great. A great set of skills.
And Ben,
for acting.
I think it's worth pointing out as well, also quite attractive.
Also quite attractive, yes. Outside of the skills.
And played a 12-year-old in an adult body quite well. Actually.
Yeah, she did a really good job. I genuinely believe there was a child trapped in an adult, well, not trapped, but in an adult's body. Great job.
Which is funny because she's the same age as me, and I am also a child trapped in an adult's body.
Santa scene was good.
Yeah.
Santa scene made part of the film for me. Didn't care much for. I did think that Adam Brody was excellent casting in that regard for an older. Freddie Freeman.
Again, a friend of the podcast, Shane, said that they cast Adam Brody first and then found a kid who looked
like
him.
Very possibly. But I enjoyed that. But the others were a bit mesh.
I liked them.
Nah.
I liked the little twist. One of the things I really liked about it was very much, now we have a Justice League.
That's better than the Justice League we had.
Remember the Justice League? Remember how you didn't like that? Here, look, there's a fast one. There's a strong one.
There was a great colour palette in this one as well. Like everyone, I will say that for all those characters, very visually distinct. Nice job. Quick colour change. That's all you need.
I think if the 7 Deadly Sins had been rainbow coloured as well, it might have got a bit garish.
You didn't even have to do them rainbow coloured. You could have just had a mild tone to the skin, a dark scaly red for the wrath, and it doesn't matter. It's too late now. We can't go back and change things, Michael.
You know what I liked about it, Ben?
Go on.
The whole film. And this is what I thought distinctualized it from Batman vs. Superman and Justice League.
Distinctualized?
Yeah, distinctualized. Made it distinct from. This is what distinctualized it from Batman vs. Superman and Justice League. The whole thing appeared to be filmed in a real place.
Yes.
The school looked like a real school.
Yes.
The town looked like a real town. The strip club looked like a real strip club. True.
That strip club was very realistic.
Yeah. Because you didn't get to go inside. The fairground looked like a real fairground. It was real looking.
Real good.
Everything looked kind of real.
Very enjoyable.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I also liked the bit, Ben. You said this was probably too on the money, but there's a kid smashing a Batman and a Superman action figure together. And then he sees Dr. Savannah and Shazam
They
fighting
clash
outside.
at the exact same time he clashes the toys.
And he drops the toys on the ground and stares in awe at the real superheroes. Winky, 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 wink.
Shazam is way better.
Yeah, it was a lot
way better. Mark Strong would have been a great Lex Luthor.
Yes.
In that particular, much better than the Lex Luthor we got. It's interesting how strongly they drew from the Jeff Johns, Gary Frank Shazam reboot from the New 52. It's all from that.
A lot of what you said, last week, that the Shazam runs out of time and he's convinced he won't get to find the perfect person, so he just chooses good enough.
It's all from that. Yeah. I do think they actually made it stronger from a storytelling point of view. In the comic, it's Billy Batson that convinces the wizard that there are no good people, which is a bit of a stretch that a kid could convince such an arrogant man that was possible. I think it's much better that it's the trauma of Savannah taking the power that makes him realize he's out of time. There's also no Black Adam in this one.
Well,
obviously.
there is a bit. We see
the champion that they chose wrongly.
Yeah.
But in the Jeff John, Gary Frank run, it's Black Adam who has all the power.
Well, that's either going to come out in a sequel or in a spin-off.
Oh, we'll definitely get a spin-off Black Adam could work.
I think that's what's in the works.
A prequel Black Adam?
Yeah. Ben, I think the most exciting thing was that when we were watching the credits at the end, my name was in the credits.
Yes, Michael Leonard, B camera operator.
First assistant B camera operator.
Excuse you.
That was very exciting.
Yeah, it was actually a little bit like going with a child to the cinema. He's like, look, Jim, look, it's me.
There was a lot of kids in the cinema.
There was a lot. It's a kids' movie.
They weren't really enjoying it.
Didn't seem to click on it. There was one dad in the corner of the cinema, I don't know if you heard that, who would answer the screen as though it were talking to him. Name one good sidekick, and he shouted out, Robin!
Yeah, shut up.
Robin. And then there was a good punch in there at one point. He goes, oh, yes! He was really into it. And his kids were just there going, Dad!
You're embarrassing us.
Stop it. Which is
Ben.
what me and Jim and Shane said to you when you kept going on about first assistant camera operator.
Benjamin.
Mick.
That's mean. Benjamin, did you feel it was better than Marvel's Captain Marvel?
In some ways, yeah.
Yeah, but in other ways, no.
I think from a supporting cast point of view, absolutely not.
Right.
It needed a stronger supporting cast in certain areas.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of just telling a simple story and doing it well, yeah, nailed it.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It's very simple. Like there's no grand stakes. It's really.
Will it make $1 billion, Ben?
Doubtful.
No.
It hasn't got. Culturally speaking, it's very insignificant. It doesn't take any great strides for representation of of other ethnicities. It doesn't take any great strides in terms of promoting the role of women.
Yeah, but neither did Aquaman, and that made $1 billion.
Amber Heard.
What about her? What did she hear?
Amber Billion Heard. No, Jason Momoa is a big old beefcake. I don't know if Zachary Levi has the sex appeal of Shazam.
It is interesting, though, that future... I've stolen this thought from somewhere, but it is interesting that if there's a team-up movie in the future, it will be people excited about Aquaman, Shazam, and Wonder Woman teaming up.
Yeah, right, I'd watch that. I did think Zachary Levi... on occasion.
I've never been a big fan of Zachary Levi.
Yeah, some of the delivery from Zachary... It's almost like he was just having his personality... And I was just like, oh, it's too sugar-coaty. The kid was better, I think. The young...
sarcastic kid.
young Billy Batson was actually...
Yeah, there was a huge personality shift between the kid. It was almost like Zachary Levi hadn't seen the scenes the kid had filmed.
Almost. Yeah, I don't know. I would have preferred someone better in the role. John Hamm. Now there's a Shazam.
Too old.
He's too old now. Yeah. But in his prime, John Hamm... Yeah, I'd watch that.
They're going to reach a point in the next couple of years where they'll have to decide when that kid is old enough to be a man, is he going to Billy Batson into Shazam or is he going to Billy Batson into Billy Batson?
They'll drop him.
They'll drop the kid.
Zachary Levi has the star power, kid doesn't.
But he'll just be Shazam for the whole film.
Yeah.
That kind of defeats the purpose.
I know. It takes
or will he say Shazam and turn into a young Zachary Levi?
Oh.
De-age him.
That could happen.
Might do that.
But I don't know if Zachary Levi could carry that by himself. There's not as much Shazam time as you think. There really
he's not.
Isn't. That family dynamic is pushed much harder. That's one of the interesting things. They really do make Savannah a foil for him in that Savannah grew up with a whole family.
Yeah, hates them.
And he hates them. Whereas Billy Batson grew up with no family, and he ends up loving them. Like, it's a very, narratively speaking and storyline-wise, damn strong. Strongest one I've seen out of the DC run.
Benjamin,
in terms of symbolism. And
let's finish that up there.
Go on, yeah.
Because one of the things that we found interesting about the film was its kind of introduction of its own twist on mythology. Do you know what I'm saying, Ben? It kind of, there's the seven deadly sins, and they're kind of demony thingies.
Demony thingies that plague humanity.
And then there was the seven wizards.
Yeah, the Council of Eternity. Man.
Yeah,
the Council of Eternity.
And Ben, you know what we said? We said it's interesting when a fictional universe creates its own pantheon of gods and.
Yeah, its own mythology to go by. So there's a couple of names for this kind of thing, Michael. And we'll put it out to the listeners because you couldn't pick one. I came up with two neo pantheons, which is meta pantheons, which is
that's a bit better.
Panties,
yes.
Meta panties. There's also a couple of other ones that I was looking around the web for. Mythopoeia. Is technically what it's called when you create a myth
like
of your own for
like
a Tolkien mythology or something like that. There is also speculative pantheon, which is where you create something to do with the basic system and structure of your universe. So if you're universe building, that's what you get.
It's interesting though, isn't it? Because nearly every fictional property eventually ends up making up anything that's kind of in any way fantasy or science fiction-y, or they end up making up their own pantheon.
Yeah, lores need a god.
It's a very human thing to do, apparently.
We love a story. None so guilty as comic books, Michael. Comic books have hundreds. Look at Crom from Conan.
Well, Crom predates... Doesn't Conan predate comic books? Wasn't
he does.
Conan
he's now a book.
He's a novel.
He's now a book.
What other gods are in Conan's universe?
I don't know. See, that's the thing. They make up loads of different ones. He always raids an El temple, finds an El totem.
A temple of Nabuccodonosor.
Yeah. The evil Nabuccodonosor.
Yeah.
Or the righteous Nabuccodonosor. It really depends on who's worshipping who.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, you get the idea. But so we can start with Shazam. He's part of the Council of Eternity. He's the last of the Council of Eternity. And he later gets retconned in DC Metal as one of the members of the Seven Immortals on Earth. Carter Hall being one of them, who's constantly...
Carter Hall, Hawkman?
Yes, he's constantly reincarnated. He assembles the Seven Immortals so they can study the effects of the Dark Universe in the DC Comics. And he's introduced there.
The abortive... film franchise, The Dark Universe.
No, that was the shitty Tom Cruise enterprise.
Yeah.
No. It was a little bit different. The Dark Universe in DC Comics is actually quite a big thing in terms of how it shapes, including the Dark God Barbatos. But anyway, Shazam himself is the lightning god, the god of lightning in that particular one. It turns out later that he's based on Mamaragan, which is the Australian Aboriginal god of lightning.
Shazam is based on an Australian Aboriginal god. The Wizard Shazam.
The Wizard Shazam.
Not
sorry,
the Wizard Captain Marvel Shazam.
The Wizard Shazam. You can see it. He's very clearly Aboriginal in origin there. But he was on the Council of Eternity, and they were a bunch of different gods. They got together and did some business.
Were they all kind of smushed together from... I'm doing air quotes here. I'm not because my hands are cold. But were they all smushed together from... real gods, as in...
Yes, they're cobbled together from established real-world mythologies.
Right.
Yeah. There is an Egyptian god that sits on the council. It's hard to say, because Jeff Johns never explains the other members of the council. I originally thought when we were watching Shazam the movie that the siblings would sit in the different chairs and receive different powers to Shazam.
You see, I'd seen the Funko Pop toys, so I knew they were just going to become...
spoiled them for you, but I was rather hoping to see that happen, but it didn't, because it hasn't been established anywhere in the DC universe what exactly they did.
They were just all Shazams.
That Council of Eternity is responsible for 3 of the heavy hitters that are kind of gods in the DC universe. The Question, the Phantom Stranger, and Pandora are 3 archetypes of harbingers of doom in the DC universe. Those are 3 people that were punished by the Council of Eternity. The Phantom Stranger craved fame and notoriety, and so his punishment was to spend eternity roaming around the world, not being known by anybody. He was the Phantom Stranger, and to engage in that. The question was a thief who stole knowledge all the time.
So now he has no face.
So now he's got no face, and he came to do that. And Pandora is the one who opened Pandora's box. So again, we're borrowing from actual lore, but they've been re-established as different things. But that's not the only example we have of that kind of thing going on. That's not the only Pantheon shenanigans we have.
No.
Shazam shenanigans.
Yeah.
What else we got, Michael?
Oh, you were leading to me.
Yeah.
Ben,
you are the co-host of the podcast.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. Ben, I was looking at it from a perspective of entirely new
That's what you should
gods. Crom is a good example. I don't know if Crom is entirely new, but that whole dark medieval fantasy inspired a lot of British stuff in the 80s. Have you ever heard of Michael Moorcock?
No.
Anyway, he came up. Well, he didn't. No one ever comes up with a single idea. He developed the idea of chaos.
Okay.
The idea of chaos and being in opposition to order. I know that exists throughout history, but everything nicked it. Dungeons and Dragons nicked it.
Yeah.
And specifically, the one I'm going to talk about, Ben, is Warhammer nicked it.
Warhammer?
Because Warhammer stole the idea of having chaos gods and order gods. And we were talking about this the other week, where when things like that were formed, they were first created in the 70s and 80s, when it was a bit of a wild, wild west sort of situation. Yeah. People were throwing ideas at the wall.
Someone shouted, "We need more cock." And then
Michael, get more cock. Michael Moorcock. Hold on a second. I'm going to check if that's his real name before we go too far.
I've already been enjoying that. But anyway, they were following the student pasta method of cooking, where you take your piece of pasta out, you fling it at the wall, and if it sticks, it's done.
Yes. So, Ben, in the original days of Warhammer was very much just a smattering of Lord of the Rings, a touch of Conan,
a touch of whatever you're having yourself.
Basically, whatever you're having yourself. And they had lots and lots of gods. And some of them were order gods and some of them were chaos gods.
Classic.
But as we talked about before, when lore for things starts developing, people lost interest in the order gods. They're less fun.
Yeah, chaos is better.
The chaos gods became the pantheon of Warhammer. And there are 4 or 5 of them, depending on...
Big old chaos gods.
Depending on where... in the timeline of the development of this thing you're looking. Well, you see, because sometimes there are more. Anyway, the big ones, Ben, they have your classic archetypes.
Yeah.
What do your bad gods typically represent?
Death, destruction, disease, famine, pestilence.
Oh, I see what you've done there. So they have corn. Not the foodstuff corn.
Freak on a leash corn.
Khorne.
Very close to freak on a leash corn, which is Korn.
Well, that's interesting because they do wear collars. They have Khorne's demons and entities have collars that protect them from magic.
Kinky.
Because a little bit, yeah. But Khorne is the least kinky. Khorne hates kinkiness.
Oh, he's an ordered chaos demon.
No, he is the god of violence and war and bloodshed.
Oh, nice one.
And he hates subtlety or manipulation or...
He'd rather just be straight. Oh, he's a classic warrior god then.
Yeah. And he has...
I have no time for your tricks, you coward.
Yeah, and he's a big red... bull-headed humanoid thing.
Come out and fight me like a man.
Brass armor, bronze armor.
Lovely.
And the whole idea is he comes from the gods in Warhammer exist in the chaos universe. It's a dark reflection. It's the
dark universe in DC.
Kind of.
Yeah.
But they're fed by emotion.
Okay.
Right? So Khorne was born when the first human committed a murder.
And now Cain and Abel are...
Yeah, exactly,
nice.
I think. Or was he?
There
was one stage where, because the lore was so in flux, there was one stage where he was born during World War II.
What?
Because that was like the peak of human...
Misery?
Not misery, warfare.
Okay.
Because Khorne isn't the god of misery. He's the god of warfare.
Oh, there is a god of misery coming down the line, is there?
Not necessarily.
Oh, for God's sake.
But so
go on. Next god.
Next god. The next god is Nurgle.
Oh, I've heard that one goes around though. That's in the Bible somewhere, isn't it? He's
is
a demon of some kind in the
Possibly.
That name knocks around all the time.
Well, that's the other thing, because they are just archetypes.
Yeah.
Nurgle is the god of disease and pestilence and suffering.
Real bad egg.
But the funny thing about him is he's quite jovial.
Oh,
because he loves his followers and he spreads his plagues and his diseases and when you contract them, you gradually become one of his demons. But it takes away all your pain and suffering. So he's kind of the god of the sick and the dying who turn to him for relief
and
of
he
the
helps
suffering.
them.
Yeah. Helps them in inverted commas.
Yeah, by turning them into demons.
Yeah.
Yeah, they lose their soul in some form, I would imagine.
Yeah.
What else we got? What other
We've got
big bad eggs?
Slanesh.
Oh, that's that name is just uncomfortable.
Good. Slanesh is the god of excess, hedonism.
Sloth.
No, not laziness.
Gluttony.
A bit of gluttony, a bit of lust, a bit of pride.
Bit of whatever you're having yourself.
Yeah. And
it's the name of this episode, by the way.
Corn and Slanesh, they hate each other.
Oh, because one has to... Okay, because it's all underhanded subtlety and getting the ride and hiding in the bedchambers of your concubines and that kind of thing.
Slanesh has long been a sticky wicket for Games Workshop because the market for Games Workshop is teenage boys, mostly, or was historically. And what better way to sell miniatures to teenage boys than to have boobies? Yeah. So Slanesh figures often had boobies, more than one sometimes, or just one sometimes.
Oh, a mono boob.
Sometimes, because Slanesh is androgynous.
Oh, nice.
And to teenage boys, that means booby on the left, no booby on the right.
Boom.
And then the last one kind of sometimes is Sinch. And Sinch is the god of manipulation and sorcery.
So Crom hates him too? Corn.
Yeah, Corn. They all hate each other.
Okay, well that's a classic
all four of them hate
thing.
each other.
Yeah.
In the olden days of Games Workshop, there was a fifth god called Malal. And
that's a good name.
It's a pretty good name, yeah. And Malal was the god, but Malal isn't. Malal, I think, was created by Michael Moorcock. Anyway, there was a copyright dispute, and they can't use Malal anymore.
Trust Moorcock to make Malal, huh?
Malal was the chaos god of chaos's own anarchy, and he was the chaos god who all he wanted to do was beat the other chaos gods.
That's pretty good.
He would never team up with them or anything, and his followers were very few and far between because they couldn't work together with anyone. So they would instantly, if Malal lured someone, they would instantly start fighting everyone, basically. And
that's interesting.
Yeah, it was a pretty cool concept, but it's gone now.
It's gone now. Copyright took that away. Okay.
It's a pretty good one, though. It's a very rich universe of demons, and there are good gods.
Oh, good.
Oh, good God.
Oh, good God.
There are good gods, but the good gods are usually formed by the thoughts of worship of mortals. Oh. So, like, if a particularly powerful person becomes very powerful and enough people worship them, they can become a god.
Ascend. Okay.
But those type of gods are much, much, much weaker than the four primordial.
Yeah, they've
evil,
got that base.
Yeah,
since time immemorial kind of stuff. Yeah, classics. I took a look a little bit closer to our field in general, Michael. Bloody The Endless. The Endless is probably a great example of a made-up pantheon.
That's a very good example.
Neil Gaiman knocking it out of the park with possibly one of the most revered pantheons in comic book history. The Endless are made up of the 7Ds. Yeah. More cock. Destiny, Delirium, Dream, Desire, Despair, Death, and Destruction.
What did Delirium used to be called?
Delight. Yeah. She was Delight, and then mankind corrupted, and Delight became a few and far between thing because we're so cynical, and it became Delirium, which is madness. So that's what it became then. And really, really famous. That's what the whole Sandman arc is based on. It's around the adventures of Dream.
Yeah, it is Michael Moorcock.
Very good. Moorcock for everyone.
What sometimes people say to me, and I always disappoint.
Zing! Your poor lady friend. Destiny, Delirium, Dream, Desire, Despair, Death, and Destruction. They are 7 brothers and sisters. They are the overarching system of the DC mythology. They
are they though?
You see, it depends.
This is the thing.
Everybody fears them because they are such heavy hitters. For example, the only one who can stand up to Dream, near as anyone can tell, is Lucifer.
Yeah, but also in that universe there is the Spectre.
So the Spectre is an interesting one. So that's a good example. Spectre is God's champion in his original thing. This is something that fascinates me about DC. early DC stuff is very, very Christian.
Yeah.
The 7 deadly sins were, in fact, the 7 deadly sins of the Bible.
Yeah. Or the film Seven.
Or the film
What's in the box?
What's in the box? What's in the box? And the Spectre is actually God's left hand of vengeance. No, sorry, God's right hand of vengeance. Sorry.
Yeah. Left hand of wiping your butt.
Left hand of wiping your butt. And he punishes people for their sins. That's what he does. He's God's divine instrument of vengeance. And it's bloody weird.
Yeah.
Big old naked guy with a green cape.
Yeah. Talk about the Endless.
Underoos. Sorry. The Underoos are great. I mean, Desire, again, is androgyny.
You just said the Underoos are great.
Underoos are great. The Underoos. Michael and Benjamin's new mythology coming to a comic book near you. Underoos. I mean, each one has their own thing. Obviously, Destiny looks over fate in general. Delirium, it's all about dead madness. Dream is everybody's favourite moody prick.
Yeah.
Desire is everyone's favourite temptress. Or Temptor, because it, much like Slanesh, is androgynous. Very 80s music video androgynous in most incarnations.
Very similar to Slanesh in a lot of ways.
But same thing. Despair is very similar to Sloth or Gluttony or what was the guy that you mentioned who was Misery? Nurgle, that was him.
But Nurgle's very jolly.
Suffering, yeah, she's not. She's bloody morbid pain in the arse. But a big grotesque thing. Death is everybody's favourite thing. Everybody wants to ride Death.
She's a sexy lady.
She's nerd boy bait. And she's very jovial, much in contrast to her personality. And then Destruction is the brother who had enough and gave it all up.
Yeah, he left.
He wandered off into the universe.
He was a suit of armour guy, wasn't he?
And he was at one point.
Big beardy man.
Yeah, but again, very jovial. The thing about the Endless is they embody these things, but they don't necessarily reflect those things or crave them in the same way. They're much more about maintaining balance in these different things, and each has their own realm and their own way of doing things. And Morpheus is widely regarded. Morpheus, the dream entity, is widely regarded as a bit of a prick by all of them. None of them like him
because he looks like Neil Gaiman.
Yes, and there are all kinds of rivalries between these. Desire's always acting the bollocks because she sees her role as better. She gives people real life dreams, as in their desire manifested, and Dream only lets them wander around their brains. And Dream doesn't like that because people should dream about the things they want to do. They shouldn't necessarily get to fulfill them all the time. And this bounces around and all that.
If you get to fulfill all your weird dreams, you end up like R. Kelly.
Yeah. Ooh.
Ben, it's interesting that you said there about the Christian thing, because one of the modern greats in this field is, of course, J.R.R. Tolkien. Because J.R.R. Tolkien, Ben, he created a fantasy universe, but he himself was a Christian.
Same with C.S. Lewis.
Well, C.S. Lewis was very Christian. I mean,
Christian.
The lion is Jeebus.
Jeebus Christ.
But J.R.R. Tolkien's is pretty weird because it seems to be about wizards and monsters and a pantheon of evil gods and a pantheon of good gods.
But it's about Nazis.
What? No, it isn't.
Nah, I just like throwing that in sometimes.
Because in The Lord of the Rings, Ben, in The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, none of this is really mentioned. Most of this comes from the Silmarillion.
Oh, that's J.R.R. Tolkien? I thought it was C.S. Lewis.
No, that's J.R.R. Tolkien. Man. The Silmarillion is the origin story of the world of The Lord of the Rings.
Oh.
And at first, Ben, there was a god, reality itself, the universe.
Did he have a big white beard?
Yeah, he was God. He's God. He's Christian God, but his name is Eru. Iluvatar, I think.
Whatever.
And he creates a group of creatures called the Vanir. Valar,
like the Vanguard or the Vanir, yeah.
And they're basically angels.
Well, the Vanir comes from Asgard.
Yeah, that's not Vanir, it's Valar, that's why I got confused. And he creates the Maiar, and they're
the bad eggs to balance it all out.
They're if you wanted a Christian equivalent, they are the lesser choir of angels.
Oh, okay.
And you could say that the Valar are like the archangels. And the Maiar are the run-of-the-mill
cherubim, that kind of thing.
General angels.
Yeah, okay.
But then, of course, they all turn into fantasy things. So the Valar become... the Eru says, listen, lads, will you make a planet there? And they go, all right, we'll do it by singing. And they go, there's the elves and the whatnot, and there's the plants and the... And they become a kind of pantheon then.
Oh.
So it's a real mix of traditional...
I thought for a second you said they got depowered and turned into those creatures, which would have been very Irish, because that's what happened to our Celtic gods. They got
but no, that's not what happened.
got stuck under a hill.
No, that's not what it is. It's that they all take on responsibility for an aspect of something. So there's so it's basically like, imagine if the Greek gods were subordinate to the Roman, to the Christian god, basically.
Okay.
Imagine if they were created by him, and then the devils and demons.
In certain storylines, that's what happens. They're like lieutenants to the different things in totemism or in shamanism or in bodyism of various things. Oh.
But then that obviously affects nearly every fantasy universe that comes along afterwards. For example, have you ever read or played anything from the Elder Scrolls?
I played the Elder Scrolls once, but I used all the cheat codes and just ran through it fairly quickly.
No good, bad bloke.
No good, bad bloke. Not a game player, Michael. Not my thing.
In that, Ben, they have basically good gods and bad gods. Oh. And the good gods are the ones who actively took part in the creation of the world.
Real good eggs.
Yeah, and the bad gods are the ones who didn't.
What, the lazy ones?
The ones who keep to their own plane of existence.
What's wrong with that, Michael?
They're very like the Chaos Gods in Warhammer.
Yeah, but they're not Earth. Leave me.
But they don't leave the humans be, Ben.
Well, look, that's because you told them they were bad gods.
No, it's not.
Michael.
It's because they're always wanting to interfere. Imagine, Ben, if you were Molag Bal.
Of course.
The Daedric Prince of Domination.
I am Molag Bal, the Daedric Prince of Domination.
No, you're not.
No, sorry.
You couldn't even dominate a conversation.
I haven't had breakfast. Sorry, I forgot.
Or imagine if you were Periite? The Periite, the Daedric Prince of Disease and Death.
That's you.
Oh, that's not nice.
Yeah, sorry.
Or imagine if you were Hermaeus Mora, the Daedric Prince of Madness and Delirium.
No, that's from the Endless.
And that's what I'm saying, Ben. You see, this is where we're going. They're all just coming back to the same bloody archetypes.
You could already blame Jung for this. It's probably all
Jung. Is it Jung again? Imagine if you were Hircine, the Daedric Prince of the Hunt, who has a human body and a kind of deer's antlers.
That's just the Celtic god of the hunt.
That's what I'm saying, Ben.
They just stole it.
And he's the father of werewolves.
Oh, like Thrupp.
Kind of, yeah.
Oh.
But in the Elder Scrolls, Ben, not all of the Daedric princes are necessarily evil.
Okay, they just happen to be...
They weren't involved in the creation of the world. They have one called Merida. Not
from Disney's Brave?
No, or the Spanish word for shit.
Okay.
She is a Daedric princess of light. But she's not good, but she abhors death and undeath.
Oh, that's good.
So, kind of good.
Kind of good.
But a real bitch.
She'll balance the old scale here and there. She's the snooty god. Every pantheon has a snooty god.
But you see, these aren't part of the pantheon in the Elder Scrolls, because they have a pantheon of the good gods.
Oh, Christ.
So there's the 9 good gods.
And then you've got all these other lads that are just not around. These are the princes then.
The Daedric princes of various things.
Ugh.
But it's very well developed.
Oh,
because the Elder Scrolls, the one thing you can say about it, Ben, is there's a lot of lore in those games.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah.
You can read it if you want to, but it'll take you hours and hours and hours and hours and hours to do.
Well, there's a wiki.
There's always a wiki. There's a wiki for everything. So, Michael, to finish this off, I took a look at I took us a look at I took us a look at Swamp Thing, the world of Swamp Thing.
Go on.
Swamp Thing is bloody classic thing. He's called the defender of the green, Michael. And some people, when they read this, they go, "Yeah, all plants are green." That's fucking very creative.
Oh, I read it and thought you meant like he worked on a golf course.
He also does that on the weekends. Superhero gigs don't pay much. But what I didn't realize until very recently, Michael, is the green is actually an elemental realm within the DC universe.
Oh.
There are several of these things, and each of them chooses a champion or a defender of their.
So there's the green.
The realm. There's the green, the red, the black, the grey, the clear.
Clear. Who's the champion of the brown?
There is no brown. You see, they avoided that one.
Okay.
There's also some lesser ones that have been kind of re-established later on. The metal, the melt, and the divided. So each one is an elemental force in the DC universe, and each one chooses their own champions or people that can engage with them.
Is it like the Speed Force?
Yeah, kind of like that, but again, not. You see, DC always fucks around with this. They love to create huge, overarching concepts that run their universe, but then they forget about the ones that are already established.
Like the Endless.
And it gets kind of messy. Yeah, exactly. Do the Endless exist in the Batman universe? They do if you're Neil Gaiman, but they don't if you're Scott Snyder. Oh, they do, because he was in Dark Knight Metals again. The Endless pop up in Dark Knight. Yeah.
Do they win?
Daniel of the Endless. No, they don't involve themselves, same as always. They don't really involve themselves in that life. But anyway... The Green has Swamp Thing as its defender, and it's to do with all plant life on the planet. Other people that can engage in the Green are Poison Ivy, Floridian Man.
Fluorescent Man?
It's something like that, yeah.
I know who you're talking about. He's like Swamp Thing, but he's a real dick.
Yeah, he's like a real... Yeah, exactly. He's Swamp Thing, but a real dick. Black Orchid, which is another Neil Gaiman creation, can come with this. This was all established
Black Orchid
by...
sounds sexy.
She is.
Quickly look her
She's
up.
purple and naked. And this is all based on Alan Moore's kind of reimagining of Swamp Thing. So he took over Swamp Thing and started penciling in all this stuff. The red is for animals, any living creature, usually.
Blood stuff.
Blood stuff. But that's exactly the aesthetic. It's all very bloody and meaty and sinewy when these things are created. One of the people that becomes the champion of that is Animal Man. Animal Man is the champion of the red on the planet. Beast Boy is one of the lesser characters that does that. Then we come to the kind of evil stuff to balance those two out. Obviously, you have the black, which is rot. It's to do with decay and rot.
Like
on the
Nurgle.
planet. Like Nurgle, exactly. And that's done by, their champion is Anton Arcane or Abigail Arcane, depending on which iteration. Who's a lover of Swamp Thing, which is very convoluted.
Oh, very.
Because he fights against the rot. They have to live
He's
in
the
perfect
green.
balance. Yeah. Then you have the grey, which is fungi.
No, The Grey is a film with Liam Neeson.
No, it's not Liam Neeson in this case.
Well, Liam Neeson's a real fun guy.
He's a real fungi. Oh, you had to do it. Anyway, fungi is... Solomon Grundy is actually the champion of the grey.
Because he's grey.
Because he's grey, yeah. There's not a lot of creativity that goes into these.
Yeah.
But it's fungi, and that kind of works hand in hand with
He's
the
not a
rot.
fun guy. He's very slow-witted.
One of the terrible things about the grey is it tries to take over everything by spreading spores and stuff like that, and it's very hard to keep in check. The clear is just the aquatic stuff, and Aquaman is the champion of the clear.
Is he?
Yeah.
Does he know?
No.
Okay.
It's a bit shite, like. But anyway, those are some of the main ones, and then you have the divided, which are the champions, or the bacteria on the planet, but that gets very convoluted. Yeah.
Wasn't there a Green Lantern who was a bacteria?
Yeah, a little amoeba.
Amoeba aren't bacteria, but look, that's a whole other thing. Ben, what's the cat trying to get in or something?
Something like that.
Ben, I forgot what I was going to say because the noise distracted me. It's gone. Keep going, keep spinning your wheels there.
But each one has kind of a collection of people.
Did you see that in Marvel Comics, Namor, the Submariner, captured Hydro Man and stole his powers?
No.
Yeah, so now
they're just making him into Aquaman.
Even more powerful in many ways.
Aquaman and Mera put together.
Anyway, sorry to interrupt.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it is. He said a human wasn't deserving to have those powers, so he captured him and stole them.
That's not for him to say, man.
It's very social justice of you, Ben.
No, not even.
Benjamin, look, people are always making up gods.
Yeah, we love an old god.
American gods had its own pantheon as well. They had the new gods, the TV boy, and
I've since gone off them.
We had the new gods themselves.
The new gods, Fourth World,
Jack Kirby. Yeah. Marvel has its kind of weird cosmic pantheon of destiny.
The Living Tribunal, one above all.
There's all sorts of gods everywhere.
Eternals.
What's this called, Ben? Meta-gods? Was there a comic called Meta-gods?
Probably. Well, there's Metatron. There's Metatron in the Bible, the voice of God. There's Metron in the New Gods, who rides around and has access to all knowledge in the known universe.
What a dick.
Real dickbag, doesn't get involved. But yeah, it's Meta-Pantheon.
Ben, ask the people what their favourite one is.
Sure, look, lads.
Ben, last week we asked people who their favourite mother for Mother's Day was.
And we missed one. Missed a big one, Michael.
Sarah Connor.
Bloody Sarah Connor from the Terminator, who's returning with Arnold Schwarzenegger to the next Terminator movie.
And Gabriel Luna.
Yeah,
who was Ghost Rider in Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. That was Kron. Kron reminded us of...
Good old Kron.
Of bloody
Thanks, Kron.
Sarah Connor.
Cron, if you want to help us out this week, what's your favourite pantheon?
Yeah, what's your favourite new pantheon?
Fictional pantheon, neo-pantheon, meta-pantheon, meta-panties. Give us your favourite meta-panties.
Have you got any panties
and
on?
don't forget the hashtag meta-panties down below in the comments. Oh, this will be the one that makes us, Michael. Meta-panties, all for everyone. As always, guys, we are on iTunes, we're on Spotify, we're on YouTube.
SoundCloud.
Give us a shout. Did you see Shazam? Did we spoil it for you? Did you see it?
Probably.
What do you think? Adam Brody back on the screen. Who would have thunk it? Anyway, that's it from us this week, guys. Bye!
Bye.